Fantastic, absolutely thrilled. Really.
A newly elected SNP member arriving for his first day at Holyrood today. Green leaders too. Their MSPs giving Nicola Sturgeon a majority here. And she says a clear mandate for an independence referendum. Michael Gove has started a new shift pattern, working part of his time out of government offices in Glasgow in a Harris tweed face mask. Part of the government's plan to demonstrate its commitment to Scotland. At his press conference on COVID, Boris Johnson was asked if COVID will soon have receded enough to allow a referendum.
What you've announced today suggests that the pandemic is beginning to become under control and we may be past the worst of the crisis. Where do you think it would be reasonable and not irresponsible then for Scotland to hold a second independence referendum?
I had good conversations with all the heads of the devolved administrations, and I can tell you everybody was resolved that the number one priority for the whole of the UK was to build back better, come out of the coronavirus pandemic and build back better together. Thank you.
Nicola Sturgeon has indicated she could start the referendum process as soon as next year. Some are not so sure.
You ready?
Ready for you?
Okay.
There we go.
We reunited the senior officials who worked on the agreement that David Cameron and Alex Salmond signed that set the rules for the first independence referendum.
They were very reasonable negotiations. We were slightly surprised.
They both think progress this time round could be glacial.
The first move here will come from Edinburgh. The UK government as yet has nothing to respond to. I know these are the mechanics, but mechanics matter.
Boris Johnson is thought to want an election in 2 years' time. He's got to have one within the next 3 years. What are the chances of us seeing people like you two sitting again in discussions before then to shape a referendum?
Ciaran, please go first.
No idea. Absolutely no idea at this point. And I think now that the election's out of the way, I suspect we will have a lack of clarity for quite a long period of time now.
You'd need to see Nicola Sturgeon moving quickly with a vehicle upon which to build support around and indicating that she has the willingness to push this to the nth degree, that is the courts. I think that's a very long shot in the next 2 years. So I wouldn't bet on a referendum anytime soon.
After losing votes and councils to the Tories around England, Sir Keir Starmer over the weekend added to his difficulties, trying to assert his authority with a shadow cabinet reshuffle. He ended up with his standing diminished, and friends of Labour's deputy leader Angela Rayner accused him of trying to scapegoat her for the defeats and cut her shadow cabinet powers.
I suspect that the people around Keir wanted a much bigger reshuffle, but they just couldn't get it through once they had negotiated some sort of deal with Angela Rayner.
I made clear that I didn't support what was being proposed originally, particularly with regard to Angela Rayner, but I'm glad there's clearly been a resolution.
Keir Starmer has been accused of overshadowing victories for Labour, like the West Yorkshire mayoral contest, with his chaotic attempt to reshuffle the shadow cabinet. This particular contest, though, means another challenging by-election for Labour.
I'm not worried at all, actually, because I think the people of Batley and Spen know that Labour Party have got their back, they're in their corner.
But some in Labour are worried. One Labour pressure group saying the Labour candidate in Batley must be working class. Several Labour MPs are warning if Keir Starmer loses another by-election, it could be fatal for his leadership. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, Westminster.